Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the Growing Band Director podcast. My name is Kyle Smith, and joining me is my friend and colleague, Jeff Smith. Our mission is to share practical advice and explore topics that will help every band director, no matter your experience level, as well as music education students who are working to join us in the coming years. Together, we will discuss many aspects of a well-rounded band program, but most importantly, we will discuss concepts that help us all improve our own programs each and every day. Always remember the famous quote by Ray Kroc, "When you're green, you're growing, and when you're right, you rot." Let's get started. Okay.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Growing Band Director podcast. This is episode number 73 with my friend Katie Spagnolo. Katie, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah.
Good. What was I going to say to start?
I'm happy that you said that we're friends. This is cool.
We have a Facebook group. I don't know if you're in it or not.
I am, yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
We just hit 1,000 people today.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
excited. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in and all that. And we're going to talk today. I wanted to have Katie on because Katie is a younger teacher. You're in your first full year of teaching, right? And we all have this list of things that we wish we knew before we started teaching. So we're going to try to make this really practical for everybody. And we have some that people have contributed to the show who want to get some stuff in there too, and we're going to do that first. But first, I want to hear about you. So can you give us, like, you're a talker, and that's good.
Give me,
You're good. But can you give us, like, your 2-minute
easy
background?
Easy.
Like, and I want you to gear it towards what makes you a good teacher.
Oh, easy.
What part of your background makes you a good teacher?
I had great teachers. Yeah. So I'm originally from Old Orchard Beach, Maine, and I had Mr. George Shabo as my first music teacher, and he believed in his students, and he cared about his students, and he saw something in me at a very young age, and he gave me early opportunities to teach. Like, I was in 6th grade, and he was helping me skip science class once a week to come and teach the 5th grade trombones. My 8th grade year, he took me to go and pick out music for our 8th grade band, and he just gave me really good early opportunities to help me realize that it was something that I was good at and something that I really liked. And then I got the privilege of working with Mr. Mark Manduca, who also saw that same drive in me, and sort of gave me extra opportunities within the Old Orchard Beach Marching Band to show off my leadership and teaching abilities, being a section leader for a couple of years. And then, I also went to Thornton Academy for high school, and my teachers at Thornton were fantastic as well, and saw my natural ability to lead and really just helped pivot me in that direction. And
what is it about you that makes you a good leader? It's a hard one.
Yeah, what is it about me that makes me a good leader?
Would you consider yourself genuine?
Yeah. What you see is what you get. Yeah. And I'm passionate. I remember when I was graduating from high school, the banquet for marching band, I remember Chuck Panchot, who was the drill instructor for Old Orchard, when he was giving like a speech about each of the seniors, he said that, Katie loves the band more than she loves herself. And I wouldn't say that, but I would say that I'm kind of the type. I think what makes me a good leader is how much I care about the outcome for others more than how it looks on me, and I really want everyone to succeed. So
yeah, and you got to think about the students a lot, because I heard a quote one time that if you're trying to lead people but they're not following you, you're just going for a walk.
Yeah.
That's
true.
If you try to lead people and they're not following you, you're just going off on your own. So the attentiveness to the students is probably big on that.
Yeah.
So then you went to University of Maine.
Yes, I
Who
did.
Who were your big mentors there?
Well, I'm a trombone player, but I went to school thanks to Kathy Murray.
Yep.
I went to school for voice, vocal concentration, and my voice teacher, Nancy Ogle, was phenomenal. I just adored her, and I what I loved about her is that, not only were we, talking about singing and, singing really amazing things. And she really made me feel capable and talented. And like I had this big voice to work with that could go places. But I felt like she was a safe place where I could also talk about other things that were going on in the background that, I didn't necessarily feel comfortable sharing with my roommates about whatever. And I think that Philip Edelman is, I don't know if I can say that he's a beast, but I think he's a beast. I think he's awesome.
He's great. He's great.
I was in concert band with him for a semester. I wasn't able to complete it just because of my course load with everything else going on. It was too overwhelming for me. But I really wish I could have. One of my biggest regrets is not finishing out that semester of concert band with him, because watching him work with his band and how he has like a science for everything that he does, and everything that he does has a reason, and how he's so efficient and maximizes every single minute of a rehearsal. I really think that the choir world could benefit from those tactics that he uses just as much as the band world. And I have a lot of respect for him, and he taught me a lot.
So let's pinpoint on that, because he and I kind of come from the same lineage of teachers. But that ability to maximize rehearsal time, right? That's really huge, because kids get it. If kids are in your rehearsal and their time is being wasted, they get it.
As a trombone player.
But if you're like on it, they're willing to jump through walls for you, because they know how much of a benefit to their life you're bringing with how you pace your rehearsals.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. And you went through COVID, like we all did. And I don't want to hear a sob story. We all have them.
Yeah.
We all have the sob story from COVID.
Yeah. No, I don't want to tell it. We're good.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot that happened until,
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, much better.
Yep.
Much better. I kind of forgot that happened until you said it. And then I was like, so clearly my brain just was like, didn't happen.
Wow. Because most of us teachers cannot forget that it happened, because there's these gaps of knowledge of like, wow, you sound great. Now you can't count 3 beats. And it's like, now you don't remember F or F natural, but you can play all this other amazing stuff. Like the gaps of knowledge. And the kids, they're just immature, aren't they? I mean, I think all kids are really just behind maturity-wise.
Yeah, I was really shocked. I would say, well, first off, I will say that COVID hit when I was a junior in college, and so I did not get to finish out certain very important things like choral conducting.
Yep.
And I'm still kind of feeling the effects of that. But, you get through it. YouTube's a wonderful resource. I've got plenty of people I can talk to. I'll figure it out. No big deal. But when I got to student teaching, I student taught with your wife in Westbrook. And I remember like my first day of student teaching, I think it was a 5th grade or 6th grade class. And I had done this activity where I had some questions for this book about Marian Anderson, who was the first black opera singer at the Met. And the kids, I tried to have them write on the board, and they were asking me how to spell words like didn't and because and things I learned how to spell in 1st grade. And they were gripping their pencil so hard. It was like I was watching a 1st grader write. And that was really eye-opening for me, because I realized in that moment that my experience as a 5th grader when I was in school, which wasn't too far removed from them, no longer counted. And that was really scary. So yeah, absolutely. Their kids are not the average 5th grader that the general person who didn't experience COVID, it's just, they're not the same. No.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I wish I knew before I started teaching was I was under the impression that because I could teach them at a high enough level, I expected them to meet me there.
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, I'm going to go. This microphone keeps moving on you. I don't know if he just needs to, I don't know what's happening. But
okay.
Anyway, we'll be fine. I thought, okay, if I just program high enough, whatever, they'll rise to that occasion. And then I realized over the years that I need to program at the right level. I need to meet them wherever they're at and do things that maybe I thought weren't what I would have done when I was younger. Maybe more metronome, maybe more play along, maybe more modeling, maybe more whatever. And then getting them up to that next level. So like meeting the kids where they're at, right, is so big. Like putting yourself in their shoes.
And I think that going back to what you asked me about what makes me a good leader, I constantly am asking am trying to put myself in the shoes of my kids when I plan my curriculum as a general music teacher, or, even if I have a poor interaction with a kid. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. That's a mistake I think a lot of people make when they're starting out. And I've had to remind myself of a lot of the time too. Yeah.
All right. So some things we wish before we started teaching, some things we wish you knew.
Mm-hmm.
How to accommodate music class to students with special needs, IEPs, and 504 language. So you teach all special ed and behavior classes. So IEPs, if people don't know, individual education plans, which as a music teacher, we basically do anyway, right? Because we try to do what's best for the kid and individually teach them. And then 504 is they have special accommodations and things like that if people don't know that language. So let's talk about that. So what do you mean when you say that?
So the school district that I work for has some students that are part of the special education program that are completely in the language in the education system, for those that don't know, is like your mainstream classroom. But then in Sanford, there are also, my school district that I work in, there are also self-contained units. And I teach the self-contained special ed classes, and they're split based on fine and gross motor skills into different groups, which also often correlates to cognitive functioning, for lack of better wording. And so my first 3 months of teaching, because the sessions break in the special ed rotation into thirds, I was teaching on one day, I was teaching the highest level of kids, and then the next day I was teaching the lowest level of kids that were nonverbal, kids that, I had a student come up and pull my hair, and kids that had, who were in middle school, but if you were to think about their age, probably were more at like an elementary or preschool level. And also they have a self-contained unit for students that have major behavioral disabilities or traumas that just make it very difficult for them to be in a mainstream classroom.
Yep.
And it's only 4 or 5 kids, but it can turn to chaos really quick. And so specifically I had to sort of on the fly figure out how to teach those kids with genuine disabilities and differences that, a semester of a half, not even like a half a year of college just couldn't teach me, especially when it related to music.
So what are some quick things you've done with them that have helped?
Working on specifically the kids with fine motor skill and gross motor skill issues. I do a lot with us just working on steady beat, which is something I got from my student teaching experience in Westbrook. For my kids that are nonverbal, doing ASL signs, signing songs, like teaching them the signs. So we did like "You Are My Sunshine," and it played in the background, and we I taught them the sign language for it.
That's great.
Yeah, stuff like that.
That's great. So like you talk about, so people think when they're going to be a music teacher that they're going to be their music teacher. They're not going to be their social worker. They're not going to be their parent. They're not going to be we're going to go in and teach them music. And then we learn really quickly that we hear a lot of stuff about the kids, and a lot of kids need our support. A lot of kids don't. And I think, I'm just going to say it, I think in education sometimes we overstep now, and I think we don't let the parents parent enough, and we sometimes think we know more than the parents about a kid. I'm not speaking for you, I'm speaking for myself. So there are kids that I really don't know much about besides music, and I think that's nice sometimes. I can do my piece of the triangle, the kid can do theirs, and the parent can do theirs. But then we have a lot of other kids who we need to help through a lot of things. So people have to be ready for that, and that's part of the wearing part of the job. I mean, I think of kids right away who, like, without me, they wouldn't have graduated. But, that's an opportunity that we have. and that's wearing on you. So you talk about this thing called detoxing, right? So like, because you take it home with you. So what are some ways that you kind of detox from that?
Go to the gym.
Yep.
Like,
big one.
Becoming a teacher can very quickly, becoming a teacher can very quickly become your whole personality, and you could eat, sleep, breathe it.
Yeah.
But that's how you burn out. Like, please leave by contact hours. Like, please leave. Please go to the gym. Please have a hobby, especially if you're in your 20s. Please act like you're in your 20s on the weekends. Like use your preps the right way and you'll be fine. Like, so going to the gym and like moving is a big one. I've started reading for fun.
Yeah.
I've started reading fiction books again. Yep. Yeah. So reading is cool. And
I want to jump in a little bit too. I don't have a lot of hobbies.
Oh no.
I like sports.
There you go.
I like working out and I like teaching music. I obviously love my family and like family time, but like I don't go and do a lot of other things. One thing, and I've met a lot of band directors like this, it's fun to like listen to music and look at scores at home at night. So you have to know yourself. I was talking with John McAllister back in November, who has this great website about fundamentals, and people don't know it. They should check him out. He's like, yeah, this is fun for me. For me, this isn't work. It's fun. So you have to know yourself. I totally agree. And I think most people need that total detachment and needing more time. However, I think you're a hardworking teacher, but I think there's a lot of younger teachers right now who don't know how to work yet. So my worry is that people don't put in the time to learn their craft. Like if you don't know what you're programming for next year, those are some things you should be doing to spend your time on. So your point is very well taken, and I appreciate it. You're right. People need to separate, and they need work-life balance. That's important. But I think that could also be an excuse for young teachers to not do what they have to do to establish their programs.
Yeah, I think that is, yeah. So the reason why I say that it comes back to knowing yourself, because I know that I'm the type of person that I will work myself into the ground. Like if I'm hyper fixated on something, I will work myself into the ground. So I think that the balance point in that is one thing that's helped me be able to maintain all of my goals for my students and for my program as a chorus teacher, and have that work-life balance is keeping a schedule, like an old school planner where I block out hours of time. And, even though, I say act like a 20-year-old only, whatever, on Sundays, I set my Sundays aside to make sure that I'm ready to go into this week. And I, set a certain number of hours aside to make sure that I work on those things. So, no, you raise a good point, too. It's not an excuse to be lazy. Like we as music educators have to work twice as hard to advocate for our existence in a school. And so don't be lazy. You need to, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, you have to prove why it's important for your kids to have music as part of a well-rounded education.
Right. Like, for example, when people take over a program, I'm thinking especially instrumentally now, a lot of times the kids have low levels. And one of the things you want to do is start giving some kids lessons. Just pro bono, just there, before school, after school, study hall. You want to try to get every kid to learn as much as they can. So every music teacher, when they first start a job, they're staying late to help these two kids on a lesson in here, and then they come in early the other day to do that. And I worry that if people lose that, then it's going to be harder to build a program too. So, you say contract hours. To know a band director or chorus teacher who just does contract hours, that's probably hard to do. But your point is well taken. But I think it's important for people to be willing to go in early if they need to, especially if they can make it work with their job, and they're go in early or stay late depending on what you have. Like you're here on a Friday night recording this with me. This is a professional thing that you're doing.
I know.
You're not off just like at a restaurant.
But this is also fun,
right,
Mr. Smith?
See, this is an example of how talking shop can be fun too.
And I go early. I'm the type, and the reason why when I was saying like leave at contract hours, that was more so me saying that to myself, because I am the type that I get there early, like wicked early, and I get stuff done early, and I plan a lot in advance.
Early at school is so cool. Before the kids get there,
I
it's
love
like
it.
the best time.
I love it. I can like drink my coffee in peace and listen to music for myself in peace while I.
What time do you get to school?
Anywhere between 6:20 and 6:30, but today I rolled in at 7:05, but that was okay. It was Friday.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Yeah. And then the kids come in at like 7:20.
I used to do that too. Crystal and I would get there really early.
Yeah.
But then we had these things called children.
Yeah, I don't
and then
have
that
so.
changes things. And then when they get old enough, we'll probably go back to going early again. So, okay, classroom management. Classroom management is really hard. I used to think I'd stand on the podium, put the baton up, and all right, here we go. They all care as much as me, right? Most of them are not going to be music teachers. Like, think of all the crap you did when you were in band, and I thought we'd get on the podium and kids would just pay attention and care and then go. But classroom management is like, I heard somebody say, you're giving permission for every action every kid takes your entire class. If any kid does anything that you don't think is approved by you, don't let them do it, right? I mean, as simple as sitting the wrong way or singing the wrong way or playing the wrong way or going to the bathroom without asking, or like any little thing, you're giving permission over all of it. Mm-hmm. And the great teachers have that. They have control over everything there to a point in a culture that they almost don't have to do anything. The expectation is there. And then the classes run seamlessly. Like, that's what we all strive to do, right? Mm-hmm. So you found classroom management to be different than you were expecting?
Well, I think part of it you have to understand with my situation. I teach general music, and so I teach most of my day and most of my week is teaching the kids that most of them could care less about what I have to say because they have to take music. It's not a choice. Whereas, my 5th grade choir baby angels that I love so much, they're there because they want to be there. They chose to be there, you know, and I only see them for 40 minutes a week. So I find that with classroom management with my general music kids, I think a lot of my classroom management comes back to trying to get into my kids' shoes, but also helping them, because in middle school, you're still developing executive function, and part of executive function is being able to take accountability for your actions and decision make and think through and know that there are boundaries and there are consequences. And so a lot of my classroom management is around that, reminding them, I get it. Like, I know it's 8 o'clock in the morning. I get that you stayed up late. That's fine. But, this is what I'm trying to do. We're on the same team. And this is what is going to happen if you choose not to change your behavior. And I try to do a lot of that. And I have a reward system. Bribery works. Don't be afraid of bribery. Especially if that's the only thing that's getting that kid that doesn't want to be in your class to show up and engage and pay attention. Would you rather,
it works.
bribe them or have them disrupt your class?
Right.
I
remember teaching the general music I used to teach at the high school level was a class I had to teach. It was an intro to music or whatever it was. I taught that a year. And then I said, okay, we're changing this because I want every kid I teach to be making music, period. So I've always advocated for, when you can, general music class is a piano class or guitar class, or it's a making music class. I found that even that when I did that, all of my issues went away. Like, if I sat and tried to teach them about Beethoven, like, okay, we're done. Or if I tried to do group things with them, we were done. I taught high school only. But the minute they were individualized and they were on pianos, and then they had a curriculum that was right for them, using lots of different kinds of music, using reading music versus not reading music, because when I teach piano live class, we have like the note letter names are written out, as well as we also then read out of the book as well. So, and they're learning current pop tunes in addition to C position, bass clef, treble clef, and all that stuff. And I just found that I have zero classroom management issues in that quote unquote general music class because they're doing, and they have to. When I'm sitting and lecturing, and before that we had a music appreciation / history class that my colleague many years ago would teach. I'd walk by that room and the kids are like totally checked out. And he was too. But then the minute they're all doing something, it was like totally different.
I think you said something really key in there, and that is the right curriculum for them. So now you may feel free to disagree with me on this.
Sure.
With my 8th graders specifically, I do a unit where first I have them make a family tree map where they take an artist of choice that they listen to, and then they trace back influences 100 years until they reach an artist that was popular in the jazz age and the blues age. Instead of talking about, classical music, I want my kids to understand that the popular music that they listen to as American citizens stems from blues and jazz and folk. And so I spend a lot more time focusing on that, and I make sure that they know that the artists that they listen to today come from this tradition. And I think I've gotten a lot more engagement from my 8th graders for that reason, and also including the pop culture sociological influences that cause different genres to develop. Like blues, a big historical thing that caused the development of blues was slavery. We talk about it. The kids care about stuff like that. Rap and hip hop developed in the Bronx as a kind of a countercultural movement to disco that was happening in Manhattan. Disco came out of the byproduct of the LGBTQ plus community trying to find their identity and become who they were. I was talking about making sure that the curriculum is correct for the student. And so I was talking about like my take on music history and what I teach them. And so basically by teaching them all about these different pop cultural movements in the music that, went hand in hand with those things, I have students in my class that can relate to the experiences of the people that developed the popular genres that came before them and have influenced the music that they listen to. And I've also found that a classroom management tactic that works is give your students choice. Give them a choice, like structured choice. It shouldn't be willy-nilly. You need to have pre-decided, given them a couple of guidelines, but then give them choice.
Or here's 5 options, choose 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And any of them are fine, something like that.
And they still feel like they have choice. Like I'll say, you can pick any artist you want, but if the songs that you're looking up on your Chromebook are going to get you kicked out of school, I don't want to have a conversation with the principal about that. Yeah. And they know what that means, especially if they're 8th graders, you know what that means.
Yeah. Okay. So pedagogy. Yeah. We're never fully cooked because you might think, I've been teaching a long time when you look at me, but I've got pedagogy issues. We all have pedagogy issues. That's why we try to do episodes on here as it goes on certain instruments to help people with that. But let's talk about vocal pedagogy.
I know you have a voice person on here. Am I your first voice guest?
Well, I have a lot of people who are singers.
But am I your first chorus teacher?
You'd have to ask me. Probably.
Yes.
Yeah, I just see you as a music teacher.
Yeah, that's true.
But whatever.
Okay, sorry.
Whatever.
My ego. I just need to boost my ego a little bit. All right, anyways. What was the question? Oh.
Yeah, so we were talking about vocal pedagogy. So maybe without getting too far into the weeds, but what specifically didn't you learn or you wish you had learned? I wish I knew all my fingerings when I came out. I wish I had a better handle on the woodwind instruments when I came out. I wish I could play all the percussion things when I came out.
I learned about how to manipulate my own voice to make it sound good in my studios and what that felt like for me. But I felt as though I was trained more to become a solo singer as if I was going to be a performance major. I did not learn how to help tactics for helping other people, especially young people, little people, develop their voices and have control over their voices and how to use their voices. Specifics like vocal anatomy, didn't learn.
Yep.
And as a voice person, as a voice teacher, my favorite voice teachers know a significant amount vocal anatomy. So much so that when I was student teaching, I bought myself a book that's probably way above my reading level to try to teach myself, because I felt like I was letting myself down because the people that I admire so much, were able to teach me a little bit about it. Specific, I'm not sure if this is going to come out in English, but I'm going to try my best. Like when an ensemble has a specific sound that's not quite right, or a specific issue that's not quite right, and then knowing how to troubleshoot that and knowing what's causing that issue. Those are things I didn't really learn. Like the first time that I felt like I got any sort of pedagogy specific to voice on how to teach voice was when I learned about conversational solfege when I student taught. Groundbreaking, like eye-opening, changed my life, made me a better teacher, so much so that my mentor, my UMaine assigned mentor, Mary Brown, she sent me all 3 books as a gift after I graduated, which was super cool. And I have them, and I'm so thankful that I have them. So if she listens, thank you. But yeah, so, and that just, it's on top of the imposter syndrome that I'm going to talk about with my tips for first years.
Yeah.
It makes, and me being a perfectionist and being like a, drive my nose into the ground type of person, it just makes me feel, it makes me want to work harder. Like it makes me feel like I need to go get my master's in vocal pedagogy tomorrow because I don't know this, and that makes me mad. And a lot of what I'm doing right now is, finding resources online to make middle school phi things.
I'm just going to stop you. The fact that you don't know, that's it.
Yeah.
You just need time to learn more stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what people need. They need to know that they don't know and then be willing to work and figure that stuff out.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So before we get into our tips for upcoming teachers and music ed people, a couple people from online. I don't have names here, so I apologize.
It's okay.
Somebody said, I didn't realize how easy it would be for me to lose my prep time to administrative tasks like bus requests, grades, figuring out why the copy machine has chosen me as its victim that day, and organizing events and coordinating with others. Huge. You're not just conducting all the time. I also didn't realize how few students were like me, a solidly top band kid, AP kid who really cares about grades, and learning how to motivate every kid has become a fun yet incredibly challenging puzzle to solve. We talked about a little bit of that already. We don't have like solutions for all these things, but we're just making people aware of them. All right. Another good friend of mine put some of these down. Classroom management. We talked about that, like getting them to buy into it. One of the, middle school teachers who can do classroom management are the best. I love them.
Thank you.
Budget development. Like we have to do our budget in November for the following year. And it's like, okay, I think we need this. But then we had a famous year many years ago where we needed a tuba. And then the tuba player moved that we needed the tuba for. But we still had to buy the tuba because they weren't flexible.
I heard this story.
Anyway, so budget development, curriculum development. Oh man, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
For me, it's plan your whole year in the summer or the spring before. Plan it all out so it's educationally sound. Be willing to change it, but go. That's from a band side of things.
Same with general music. I don't have a curriculum. I made everything up myself.
Yep. And we're lucky. We're not told what to teach when.
Amen.
We get to do our thing. Job-related administrative tasks. Okay, we talked about that a little bit. Parent communication. Here's a thing. So when my son the teacher needs to contact home, I expect that to happen. Like, if my son had like a really bad day at school, I would want to know about that because if not, we don't know. And then I'm thinking, how many kids have had bad days around me and I didn't email home? Like a lot.
Same here.
So like from the parent side of things, I'm seeing how important that parent communication is. And one of the things Dr. Tim always said was always send information home in a positive way more than it's ever about chastising or negative. So if you've contacted parents about 10 different things that are all positive, and then something comes up, the parents are on your back and they can trust you. Not on your back, they're on your side and they can trust you. If the only time they hear from you is when their kid's screwing up, then it's going to feel pretty adversarial. Planning ahead and programming and order music, perfect. Supplies ordered and kept in stock. That might have been mine because I'm so bad at that. Like we have the supplies we need, and then as they start to run out, I don't go like, oh, we're a week away from running out of that or whatever, whether it be reeds or oil or whatever. And that's one thing I struggle with. So all the things. Okay, so back to your thoughts. Advice to college graduates about entering the workforce.
Okay.
You want to go in order?
Yeah, sure. We can go in order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Find music for yourself. Find another hobby that you love. We've talked about this already. It's hard when your hobby becomes your work. Yeah, we talked about that.
Make sure you sing or play for yourself outside of your job. Definitely.
Yeah. And for me, can I be honest? I don't play trumpet outside of school anymore. I mean, I used to play professionally. Now, when I want to make music, I play the piano.
I play guitar.
Because for me, I don't mean piano is easy, because it's not. But like, you press the buttons, it comes out. And I can take a set of chord changes and just play what I want. And if I'm nervous, I just press the keys harder. And I still sound great. My tone doesn't change. I can just like zone out. It's almost like a drum circle. They've done these studies where like they've studied these tribes who are in these long 24-hour drum circles. They don't use the bathroom. They don't eat. They don't like do anything. They just play. They're in this trance. For me, when I can play piano, it kind of like is this release. And to me, that's where I get it from. For you, it's guitar.
Absolutely. And you know, before I even really got into, I mean, my relationship with chorus is an interesting story, but that's for another time. But before I sang in school settings, I was very against it until I met Mrs. Kathy Murray. But again, side story. That was my release, is I would find songs that I liked on the radio, you know, and I would play them on my guitar for myself. And again, it's that mental, and for me, playing guitar and singing is a big emotional release too. So yeah, absolutely. It's like nothing else matters. It's just me and my guitar, just me for myself. And I make myself feel better. And I'm like, man, I sound really good. I'm the best. And then I go eat a cookie or something.
Yep.
You know?
And you mentioned Kathy a couple times. We haven't talked about Kathy much here.
I love her. She's amazing.
If anybody's looking for a good teacher, Kathy Murray at Thornton Academy in Saco. Look her up, reach out to her.
I love
great.
you, Miss Murray.
Yeah,
Always.
she's awesome.
XOXO.
She's so good. Imposter syndrome. So are you trying to be Miss Murray in your teaching?
No.
So I assume imposter syndrome is you're basically going there trying to be your mentor.
My definition of imposter syndrome is feeling like you don't belong there. Like you are not qualified to be there. Like everybody else is more experienced than you, and you are faking it, you are pretending. And I feel this the most. I feel this less when I'm like regularly teaching, like general music and such. I feel this way more when I go to step into teaching chorus, or when like we just did, like Westbrook does, All City. Stanford does a similar thing, except I don't know, is All City like band and chorus all together? Or is
we have
it
a
separate?
chorus one and then a band one separate.
We just had our chorus version of All City in Stanford. And I was telling my mentor teacher, Justin, who is also the GOAT, he's awesome, fantastic mentor teacher. We'll talk about mentors in a minute. I was expressing to him that I was feeling inadequate, and I was feeling nervous, and I was feeling really scared walking in and going to this dress rehearsal, you know, and having to conduct, which is something I'm insecure about, and having to conduct in front of people that have a lot more experience than me, like Matt LaBerge, who's fantastic, and he's the new chorus director at Stanford High, Heather Hastings, you know, people that have just been in the field a lot longer. And, you know, I mean, yeah, so, and I think, and then today we watched the Spring Sing concert, and I watched my conducting on the screen. And I looked at it and I was like, you know, is it perfect? No. Did the kids fall apart? No. Did I give one correct cue and the kids came in at the right spot? Yeah. And then I was like, you know what? Was it a little high? Yeah. But I looked pretty good. I did it. And I looked like I knew what I was doing. Mm-hmm. You know, and you're going to have moments like that all the time. And that's okay. So. Yeah.
It's true. You know more than anybody else. You know more about that situation and those kids and what you've been through. Yeah, there's some other band directors or chorus teachers in the audience who are going to look, and we all judge, and like that's a thing. But if you really get it, you understand that it's not about how great of a conductor you are. I mean, do we want to be good? Yes. But, you know, you're there performing in front of parents. How many parents do you think are paying attention to your conducting pattern? They're like, no, I got my phone out. I want to see my kid sing.
Yeah.
Period.
And
Thank you for letting my kid sing.
Yeah, that's another thing too that I want to say, that like it's not about, when I say this, I mean this like you and the collective, like it's, and myself. It's not about you. Like if it was about you, you would, become some, you would go to like conduct like, Boston Pops or whatever. It's about the kids. We become educators for the kids. And I think that when people start to lose sight and make it about themselves and let their ego take over, like, remember who it's about. So yeah, maybe my conducting's not perfect, but it's not about me. And I try to tell myself that.
Tomorrow is another day. Tackle your to-do list. Be happy with what you can get done. Get your sleep and eat dinner and watch Love Island. I will not. For me, I wrote down this thing I'm thinking about as progress over perfection. Like every day I want to like tackle this whole enormous mountain. I just have to be okay with, we got better. We did whatever we were supposed to do. Let me be happy with it and move on. So
Yep.
I completely agree with you.
Absolutely.
Practice your instruments, all of them. You don't want to lose it. Yes.
Yep. Nothing more to say about that.
And practice new instruments. Like young band directors, learn the clarinet this summer. If you don't have one yet, pick the clarinet.
Yeah.
Clarinet's easier than harder than saxophone. So go with clarinet first.
And then saxophone would be easier.
Yeah.
When I student taught on my prep blocks, I didn't do this the whole time, but I started doing this at some point during student teaching. I would like force myself to pick a different instrument and go into a practice room and practice for a little bit. Yeah, I'll do the.
No, it's good. I think we're okay.
All right.
I was just worried about that. I don't know.
Oh.
That's like, it's one of those days. I just don't
okay.
get it. I don't get it.
It's all right.
Lean into your mentors. So Terry White says this. A lot of the other people say this, like, surround yourself with the best people that you can. Try to get it so you like professionally, you're the worst one in the room and you're learning from everybody. And Larry Williams said it last week when we were talking. He's like, when I play in PJO, I feel like I'm the worst musician there. And I like that because it helps me really grow. When I went and observed at UNH as a senior, I sat in the Wind Symphony and Trent Austin sitting there playing lead. And I'm like, okay, I'm good where I come from here, not. Mm-hmm. And that's intriguing to me. So surrounding yourself with great mentors is big. We talked about some of your mentors. Let's talk a little bit more about them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what specifically?
Well, I don't know. You talked about them. They're great. Get as many perspectives as possible.
Yeah, get as many perspectives as possible. Like Crystal and Jean are fantastic. I worked with them a lot. I mean, Crystal was my mentor teacher when I student taught. And Jean Quinn, I also, even though on paper she wasn't my mentor teacher, I consider her definitely a mentor teacher. And Jean and I did a lot of team teaching together. And one thing I learned from Jean, okay, I'll give you one thing I'm just going to talk. All right. I was amazed at how quickly Jean built such authentic relationships with her kids. And the Westbrook kids, like, adored her. And it was because she was very candid and very herself. And I really took note of that. And at Sanford, I'm very, 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 very blessed that I am not on an island by myself. I do have friends that are the only music teacher in their district, and they're working out of more than one school all alone. That is not my story. Thank God. I have Dee Ames, Erica Scarano, and Justin Petrick that all work in Sanford with me, and all have many, many years of teaching under their belt. And what I love about the three of them is that the three of them are so different that when I might talk to the three of them about the same issue that I'm having, and they're all have different years of experience, they'll all give me a little bit of a different take on how they might handle a situation. And then I can sit back and think about it and think, okay, well, what aligns best with mine, or like give me new ideas. And, I just feel so supported. And even like my past teachers that I've had, I have a lot of high respect and love for my past teachers. And, one time Tom Lizotte said to me something along the lines of like, when I was subbing at Thornton before I got my job in Sanford, and he said something along the lines to me of like, think about what all your favorite things, that all what you love the most about your teachers, and basically copy them until figure it out.
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, I do that a lot. And I think with Smurry, what I loved about Smurry is that she has this ability to be such a mom, but also, and such a mom in the well, I mean, she is a mom, but in the sense that
she can be hard on you, but she can also love you.
But she can be very strict, but she can be very relatable at the same time, and she demands respect in a way that is just so like effortless, you know, and I just have a lot of respect for that.
Talking back with Jean and Crystal, you were mentioning them. Both of them know they don't have all the answers and are currently looking for
say that to me too.
Currently looking for all the things, and even though they've been teaching a long time, you know, nobody has all the answers. John Mastriani said you can't know everything.
Yeah.
So just is what it is. YouTube is your friend. Amen. It is everything we want to get from YouTube. The last one you have here is everything is theoretical until you get into the field. Your philosophy will change, and it is so important. That is the foundation of your why. Relationships really matter more than anything. I would actually completely agree with you with that.
Cheyenne Priest said that to us. Cheyenne Priest came and talked to Cheyenne Priest said relationships matter more than anything or something along those lines. And I got to work with Cheyenne my senior year of college, which was a fantastic experience. And she said that to my class. Dr. Edelman had her as a guest, and that was what she really honed in on. And you know,
she can sell a ketchup popsicle to kids wearing white gloves. That's Cheyenne.
She's awesome.
She is one of those relationships with kids kind of teachers.
And I think that is so. And I have found that some of the, like, I had a kid that told me, let's call him
Fred.
Thank you. Let's call him Fred. An 8th grader named Fred, who told me that, you know, I asked him how his weekend was. And he said that he got arrested. He got in trouble with the police. He's in 8th grade because he stole something at like a campground. And I was like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing that for? Whatever. He was doing really well in my class. This is a kid that I had been told by other teachers, oh, watch out for this kid, which I hate. Please stop saying that to new teachers. If you're a veteran teacher, stop it. Let new teachers make opinions for themselves, please, about kids. Because otherwise you're just perpetuating a narrative that kid didn't get to choose. Stop it. Sorry, I got a little, that just bothers me. Anyways, Fred.
Well, how many kids do great in music and then bad in other stuff? Because they like it.
And because you treat them like a human being. Anyways, my bias is showing. So Fred told me about this, and then I kept on working with Fred, and Fred was really vibing with what I was teaching, because we were talking about hip hop and rap and things, music, styles of music that he really cared about. And he was seeing the importance of it. And then and I could see that he had like a little bit of a musicality to him. And one of his other friends said, hey, you know, you should join band. You should be in band. And I got right behind that. And I said, hey man, I said, just try it out for a little bit. And I mean, he did try it out for a little bit, and things were going really well for him for a while. And he ended up not continuing with it. And I just saw him in ISS the other day, which kind of broke my heart. But you know, he built a new relationship with another teacher because of that experience. And when I was growing up, one of the best trumpet kids that I grew up with, he's a year older than me. Let's also call him Fred, .2. He had the potential to be a mega pain and like a major behavioral issue. And Mr. Shabo put a trumpet in his hands, and he went on to be a beast. And, you know, he doesn't play anymore, and things have changed for him. But you know, having that relationship. And one thing that also means, I think Cheyenne said, is pull the kids that give you a hard time, pull them closer. No, Cheyenne didn't say that. Sorry, Cheyenne. Someone that in my child development class, a teacher in my child development class, I think her name is Margot, she said, those kids that give you a hard time, pull them closer. And I have adopted that philosophy. And the kids that every single student that a teacher has told me, oh, they're going to be a problem, you better watch out for my homeroom, they're the worst. I go in with the attitude of pulling those kids closer and showing them that we're on the same team. And I can teach them anything that I need to teach them about music because they respect me and they know that I respect them. kids do not feel respected by adults. A lot of kids have like this arrogant like, I don't, everything is handed to me, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, that I think a lot of that, especially with middle school, I'm talking from a middle school teacher perspective, a lot of that is just a facade for a lot of kids. A lot of kids, you know, they hang out in our band rooms, in our chorus rooms, and they say hi to us in the hall, and they tell us random things that you're not really sure how to respond to. Like, I had a kid pull something out of their pocket, and they're like, look, I gave it legs, and it was like this little like weird felt like worm thing that they had hot glued. It was crazy. And I'm like thinking to myself, why is this kid showing me this? This kid is showing me this because there's something that I have done to this kid that's otherwise quiet and keeps their head down in the back of the class that makes them feel accepted and that makes them feel seen and makes them feel listened to. And I've had kids email me. One student in particular emailed me, didn't say a single thing the whole class. Never raised their hand, never contributed, did okay academically. When it was time for me to go and work with another homeroom, they sent me an email and they said, you know, thank you for making me feel so comfortable in your class. And I'd never had like a verbal conversation with that kid. And then after that, that kid started saying hello to me in the hall. And like my why at this point, as much as I love teaching music, and music is the way I move through the world and the way that I communicate, it always has been and it always will be. You know, I'm using my love for music to build relationships with kids to see that there are things that they can get involved in that are better than, you know, what the world has to offer today. And if in making them feel cared about in my class is the start of that conversation. Yeah. So.
Well, Katie, you've given us a lot to think about today.
Yeah, I went on a TED Talk. I'm sorry.
No, it's great. It's great. Thank you for your perspective so much.
Of course.
Yeah, this has been great.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody, have a great day. Thanks for being with us.
Okay.
We sincerely appreciate you taking your valuable time and listening to the Growing Band Director podcast. Your students are very lucky to have a band director like you. If you have any suggestions for episode topics or think you have an area of expertise to share on a show with us, please reach out. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe. And if you want to help spread the word, please give us a 5-star review and tell your band director friends to subscribe as well. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks for listening to The Growing Band Director. See you next week.